gentlemen, a very warm welcome. It's an honor to be sharing the stage with you. Okay, so in the previous years, the conventional retailing was our go-to, but ever since the pandemic has hit us, the entire face of retailing has changed forever, right? So in this particular session, we will talk about how technology is catalyzing this overall revolution in the D2C sector. And what, in return, as marketeers, how are you building strategies to serve to the consumer better? So as we were discussing backstage, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Adlakha, my first question is to you. How do you think the pandemic has really panned out for your brands and your takeaways, your lessons from, because you belong to brands that were fairly established around the COVID only. So hence my question to you, please.
Hi everyone. We started our business in 2018 mid, and it was 1.5 year COVID hit, and we were doing general trade that time and slightly focusing on the e-commerce part. And there was a boom in the e-commerce, especially in the personal care, apparels, electronics. But grocery was something, there was not that much focus in terms of e-commerce because delivery was the challenge. In grocery, you need your delivery fast, the same day or the next day, or nowadays 10 minutes. So as COVID hit, so we were struck in our model because the major of the business was coming through general trade. So we had to change it. Within 6 months, we had to shut it down, the general trade model. We asked all our sales team to leave. That time, this grocery model was picking up. And I was very much sure that if e-commerce is growing in all other category, there will be time when grocery will also grow. So, and I was absolutely correct in that term when I got a call from Flipkart grocery. This was a different model which was happening from the marketplace model. And I started working with Flipkart and I saw amazing results. People who started buying grocery from online platforms. And we pivoted our model, and today we can say ZOFF is an e-commerce first brand, started with general trade. But I think if we would have taken this step during that time, I don't know how we would have survived. But today we can say in terms of e-commerce spices sale, we are probably, I think in number between, we are top 5, we can say, in terms of grocery, in terms of spices selling. So this was a step which we took in after COVID. And I can say for some brands, COVID may hit badly, but for us, I think COVID has given us a next boom which we got from there.
Okay, amazing. Mr. Adlakha?
Yeah, hi everyone. So with us, actually our brand evolved in COVID. So this was something me and my wife got time to really think about it. And if you talk about the products that we are into the beauty tech appliances. So at that particular point of time, the entire salons were shut. Right, personal hygiene and all of these things were becoming a concern especially for the women, right? And we introduced the products which give you an ease of the luxury having a feeling at home, a salon-like experience at home. So that's how the brand started, and we introduced one product. Eventually, more and more came in, and we're still. COVID gave us time to build this category also, right? And people who, if a woman is going to a salon, eventually they end up spending a bomb, right? So we give that product and with a home service and a lot of things are there. So this is the COVID actually impacted this category and started evolving also.
Taking cue from this, Mr. Bagaria, you belong to the same industry, the women health industry. Did COVID take a toll on you, or was it opening the many doors for you? Also, how technology was catalyzing this overall change?
I think we were one of the first brand into personal hygiene. And mid 2019, we had a brand called Pollution Safe. And 2019 Diwali, we were the highest seller of N95 mask in India, more than 3M. So I don't know, I think you can say that my team thought that of course there will be a lockdown or something like that. We imported three containers in January 2020. When lockdown happened, I had the highest number of N95 masks in India. Right, we were only shut down for 3 days. We never shut down. I had COVID 3 times. And I think there was a line laga ke log humse leke jate the. COVID. So so what I want to say is there was a natural tailwind for us. We were into hygiene. Toilet seat sanitizer people started using as disinfectant, right? Because March and then by June, July, 80% of Indians were selling to 20% of Indians because everyone bolte the, mujhe sanitizer bechna, mask bechna. So I think at that point of time we stopped all those products and brands because it became a commodity. So for us, because we started first, it helped. So we were working, but yes, a lot of wrong product ideas came in, was pitched to us, and we launched, which after October 2020 we have to stop. That was the different brands. Coming back to technology, I think technology, just all D2C brand gain for it. We also, I believe, distribution, the ease of quick commerce, which came in recently. And for us, because we were an offline brand, we used to take, cue that where all people are buying for us. And then we used to go in that area and open a distributorship. So northeastern state where we have got the maximum success. So we have retail outlets like as a franchisee. The customer has in themselves became a franchisee because they said we will not wait for 10 days or 7 days. So we'll open a franchisee here. So this is all because of technology, because they connected us to social media. We had the pin code mapping. So this is how. So it's overall, I think technology definitely plays a role. We don't call ourselves a D2C brand because it's a channel rather than entire business. 5% of our business comes from D2C. Rest we use, of course, offline and third party.
Mr. Gupta, do you have any insights for us?
So, well, D2C is good, but paisa to banta nahi hai. So, eventually what we have done here is, we have capitalized D2C engine largely for insights. So, my learning was in the last couple of years, we used to, to make money here. Eventually, you have to have a higher AOV. So, and now the kind of India as a market, when you look at, it's not that possible, कि हर product जो है 1000 रुपए का होगा और 1000 रुपए का नहीं होगा तो पैसा नहीं बनेगा. So I think the learning was primarily कि we will use D2C as a launch pad. We will get some insight. Whosoever is buying, 3 times a product, right? We just call these guys. So we have our internal team. उसको सिर्फ हम ये बोलते हैं जिसने 3 बार खरीदा उसको फोन करो और उसको पूछो क्यों खरीदा उसने. And eventually we map all pin codes कि कौन-कौन से pin codes में हमारा D2C में delivery हो रहा है. And higher the pin codes, we have of course our internal formulas कि हम कैसे उसको scale कर रहे हैं. But eventually the learning was primarily अगर मैं 50 लाख खर्च कर रहा हूँ तो 50 लाख की सेल है, 1 करोड़ खर्च कर रहा हूँ तो 1 करोड़ 10 लाख की सेल है, 2 करोड़ कर रहा हूँ तो मे बी थोड़ा ऑप्टिमाइज कर लिया. एंड द काइंड ऑफ मनी यू आर स्पेंडिंग टू ऑप्टिमाइजिंग इट, राइट? कि एक के साथ दूसरा फ्री, तीसरे के साथ चौथा फ्री, बाय 1 2 फ्री. ऑल ऑफ दीज मैथ्स वाज not able to working out till the time there is no, for a new brand people don't trust. So the realization was कि 1000-1200 प्रोडक्ट का बेच नहीं पाओगे और उसको ऑप्टिमाइज करने के लिए जितनी मेहनत करोगे उससे बेटर टेक दैट इनसाइट, गो इन रिटेल एंड डू लॉट ऑफ BTL. The learning was eventually we could scale our, I mean we touched 100 odd crores in kind of a 2 years time. Why? Because the all pin codes we mapped wherever we had reached, scaled. I think we could do a lot of BTL activity after taking those insight. I think that was my learning.
Mr. Rai, how is Nicobar really leveraging the technology that we have today? And how are you using that technology to, yield better numbers for your brand?
Can I ask the audience a question?
Yes, please.
A lot of you are looking a little tired. So I want to know, because we're talking a lot about retail and online. I want you all to just think of your last purchase. Let's say it's above 2,000 rupees. Can I just see a show of hands? How many of you your last purchase was online? That was above 2,000. Last purchase online. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Your last purchase above 2,000 was offline or retail. Again, a show of hands. Okay. It looks like it may be, I don't know, in this room, not everybody voted. But amongst those who voted, it looks like 50-50. So I'm going to make some controversial statements around this. Jeff Bezos was asked, just like she does, what's changing in technology and how are you going to prepare for it? And he said, that's really a good question to ask about what's changing and how it's evolving. But the more interesting question is what's not going to change. Because you can build your business around what's not going to change. And he said at Amazon, we decided that people will always want lower prices and people will always want faster delivery. So those are the cornerstones around which the business is built. So we are a premium brand in the sense that our clothes start at maybe 3,000, 4,000 and move upwards to about 8,000. You're saying that people don't buy, there's no money to be made. I believe the premium market in India is the fastest growing segment of India. So very interestingly, and therefore what is not going to change in my market actually is people will always want an offline retail experience. So today 1/3 of my revenue is online and 2/3 is offline. I think offline is going to continue playing a very important role, but where technology comes in is from day one, we're omni-channel. So you can walk into our store and if there's something online, we'll get it to you. Or if it's in another store. So, and each of our stores is a mini warehouse. So if you order, you live in Golf Links and you order from something online, it's probably going to get shipped from Khan Market. So technology to enable omni-channel experience has been the number one. I'll talk about data and how we use data if that is the second part. But I just thought I'd leave this audience with something very interesting about the size of the different markets, which I was talking to Vikas about earlier. India has 1.4 billion people. 8 million of those live as if they're in London. They have an income of $40,000 per year, which is about, I don't know, 45 lakhs or so, or above, which is purchasing power is about $150,000. So those 8 million people live as if they're in London. Then there are 60 million people who live as if they're in UK. Not London, but outside London. Another 200 million live as if they're in Brazil, and 1 billion live as if they're in Africa. And the fastest growing is this London, India. And for this segment, we believe offline is very important. The customer experience in store is very important. And the last point I'll make, we use technology, from the beginning, we used a lot of data in similar ways. But I've told my team that Nicobar is a place where madness and data coexist. When we look at data, we often always try and draw a conclusion, even when there are no conclusions, because we're so tempted to say this is what the data is saying, and we can't control for so many variables. So what we started doing at Nicobar is insisting that there's intuition, so which is whatever you believe, you don't need data. If you believe this, let's act on it. There's data, but most interestingly, there's stories. So what I've tried to develop the organization into, because we're very good with data now, is to become better at stories. And I'll give you an example. So we saw in our data, I said, wow, this is a high purchase in Khan Market happening. And the data team came up with, yeah, this is a loyal customer, this is a loyal customer. So I went and asked the store team, what happened? This is a very high purchase happening with two different people. They said, sir, a lot of mother-daughter couples come to Nicobar. Now, none of the data could tell me that mother-daughter is a great segment for Nicobar to address, right? And that came through customer stories. So now in our communications, we use mother-daughter communication, for example. So I'd say technology, data, very important. But guys, I still think that the people touch is hugely important.
Can I just add one thing? So, I mean, though what he said is, I of course agree here. Only thing what I feel also is I mean, we can't take exception as a base. So, data of course helps you to give lot of large level of decision, but of course you can't, you can of course use human intelligence. And secondly, I think what my point was here is, when you look at a luxury segment, right? When you look at a Nicobar, at Clensta, or maybe any other brand which is like we are in a personal care space. So what we realize is the majority of people have been buying at what price per ml basis, right? And if that, what per ml? So how do we do maths is that, for example, if X shampoo is, of 2 rupees per ml. So, and whether in India, he just pointed out Amazon, fastest delivery and lowest cost, right? I think that's a market which is it's a mass market, and there's a majority contribution coming from that market only. So what we have tried to do is, as a brand, you need to of course look at a kind of in a crowded space, how and where you would like to position yourself. And I think with that thought, reduction of price, when you're going in a D2C standpoint, you are not able to make money. And therefore it is super important to do a kind of a dual route, which helps, to make those right decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, look, I think we're all in very competitive markets, right? But we can't blame the market. I think the point is sometimes we don't have enough differentiation in our own product. The sign of differentiation in our product is the ability to have a margin in it. So I think that sometimes, and I ask, so for example, Nicobar clothes, someone can go, this is a blue shirt I'm wearing from Nicobar, it probably sells for 4,000. You can probably go find a tailor, get this fabric, break it down and maybe make it for 2,000 rupees or I don't know, 1,500 rupees. But now you're paying to Nicobar for the 4,000 for the experience, for the differentiation, for the design. You're not buying it per unit of fabric. So I think anyone who's buying shampoo for per unit or per ml, if the product is really good, has to start talking about the true value or the emotional connect or amazing storytelling. So I think that's the problem. When we start only selling based on clear functionality, then it gets broken down into cost plus.
My next question is for Mr. Bagaria, since you are one of the most senior leaders in this panel. How do you think marketeers can roll out technology in a more responsible and safe manner so that the trust, the privacy and the accuracy of it is not compromised?
I think although integrity per question aa jati hai. If you have data of your D2C customers, right? So you need to manage that. I think when you take brand responsibility, we are showcasing so many stories, so many information, content online. We have to be very, very strict on what we need to tell to our customers. I think technology plays a huge role in accepting what a brand is saying. So if I take PSIF as an example, we have never used religion and politics. Even I see many brands, be it a personal hygiene or something brand, and they are putting a goddess picture and saying, hey, wish you this. So these are the things which we refrain ourselves from doing it. We don't say that our product will do a magical stuff. So recently one news is going around about Maftil, a painkiller which people pops in. I have a product which is a cramp relief roll-on, but we don't use the word period into it or a menstruation into it because it's banned by the Ayurvedic authorities that you can't use period or menstruation because otherwise it's treated as a magical drug, right? But there are other Me Too brands who, I won't say a brand but labels, they use the word period and menstruation. So once you reach a stage, I think you have to be very responsible in your communication. I think for us is all about communication, and that's where the technology plays a greater role because what you say, what you preach, people take it, and otherwise, of course, you have to have your data privacy, you have to have all the checks and balances in place. I think those were the regular health checkups what people need to do. Otherwise, we as a brand, we don't have much of a technology rather than as Puneet said, so D2C brand, people explore us as a window. They do a window shopping, ultimately end up buying in Amazon or offline. And the repeat for us is maximum happening on quick commerce because our product is what people need in 10 minutes because they don't store it. So, yeah.
Great. Mr. Adlakha, the same question for you. So you are in the market for a fairly lesser time as compared to
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Okay, so how are you ensuring that your company is rolling out technology in a more responsible manner?
See, if we talk about the technology, in our case, the product is also technology driven, and the platforms that we are using to sell, that's the whole overall technology that we come in. So if you talk about the product, right? So what we see, I find this really good. Like we were telling, actually the space, the mother-daughter thing that you told eventually find out. So that's what we do. We never hesitate in talking to our customers. We eventually call them, like if it is a customer who's taking a repeat buyer for the second time or the third time, eventually in our case the repeat is very less because we're giving doorstep warranties for 1 year. So we talk to the customers and like understand like the technology that we are introducing to the for the consumer. Actually, it's acting in a right way or not, right? And we tend to like to stay in this D2C market. We tend to like compete with our own products. Like if we launch something which is a technology driven, and we don't really see like what is happening in the market, and we tend to beat our own product, like coming up with a new product which can actually be of a better use of it. So technology, so in our case, a lot of imports is being doing from a lot of countries like China, Japan, and Hong Kong. A lot of import has been doing. So what people see is like we are importing a product and selling it. Like this is a question that Aman asked us in Shark Tank when we were there. Like eventually, तुम थप्पा लगा के ही बेच रहे हो. So that is not actually that we're doing. There's a lot of R&D, a lot of technology things on the back end. It is happening, but that the customer doesn't know. But we eventually take care of a lot of things that when we are delivering a product to a customer, which is actually technology driven, it has to work in a way that is supposed to be. Because if it's a bad experience for the customer is not coming back again to you. So that's what we take care.
Okay, so my next question is for all of you. We have the different age cohorts functioning at the same time. They're a part of the same mix. We have the Gen Z, Gen Y, Millennials, Alpha, all participating at the same time and actively contributing to each of your communities, right? How are you making sure that your marketing tactics are custom for each of them and they're also yielding better results for your brand? So, Mr. Rai.
In our case, I think what Nicobar did, there's lots of things we've done wrong. By the way, I give out, we're doing well in the market, and I tell my team and they get very upset. I say, I give myself a 6 out of 10 for what we've done, because as an entrepreneur, you always see the 100 things you can do better. But I think one of the things we did very well is we were very clear why we are creating Nicobar. And that was because we wanted to, we said, inspire India to modernize without necessarily westernizing. So we wanted to dig into our own history, culture, roots to create a brand that was uniquely Indian and yet global. And we said we'll never define it by a customer age. So our segmentation was always, our consumer is someone who is who thinks globally, who's reasonably well traveled, either physically or in their mind. They explore. They want to assert themselves and have their own unique style. So our communication is not age-based. Our customers will tend to love pets, for example. So we talk about, we adopted a dog in our office. We talk about the dog. So it's always talking about interests. It's not. It's never about the age, and as is evident from this example of, mother and daughter both shop at Nicobar.
So in our case, it's very interesting. Earlier in grocery, everyone used to target the mothers or the domestic help. But in our case, what we have seen is, because it's a new age brand, so we try to target, Gen Z and millennials, because nowadays they are the one who take the decision which grocery or which brand will be used in a home. So this is not the case which was used to be earlier, and we have seen, I think, an amazing preference in buying. You'll be surprised, like we sell in Cred, and 70% of the buying is done by men. Yeah, the spices buying. So nowadays, I think the buying pattern has changed. These millennials, they know everything, because every brand is running ad in social media and they know about the brands. So I think it has changed, and I believe like in future also they will be the one who will take the decisions. At least they can tell in the home that, okay, we have to buy this brand, this is features. So I have seen these changes, in recent times, and this has really helped a lot, in getting the e-commerce buying happening.
Mr. Bagaria.
No, I think age played a big role in PSafe. I think we made a mistake when we launched Menstrual Cup. We started promoting it to millennials above 30 and all those kind of age group. But we realized that it's not picking up because they are not the early adopters. Gen Zs. Because when millennial was, they were growing up, they was told that do not insert anything, you have a virginity issue and all those kind of issues. So we gone back to the drawing board and hey, we were actually marketing the wrong people. and we started doing marketing to the Gen Zs, because A, they don't want to use products which their parents are using it, right? They are more of explorer rather than a researcher, which is a millennial is. And that really helped. They not only adopted themselves, but they also, went promoting it to their siblings or to their young mothers. So that really helped on us. So our age group for PSAFE is between 15 to 35. And we really focus because they are, because PSAFE is a brand, innovative brand for puberty to menopause, right? So we want to adopt women who are early in life, so that the LTV for us remains up to that 48 years. So I think for us, yes, age played a bigger role. Plus the communication which we used to do, body positive, sex positive, gender equality. I think that's what the Gen Zs want to listen, want to hear as a story.
Excellent. Mr. Gupta.
So we had a different point of view early days only. So when we started Clensta, I don't know, many of you may not know, we started to address a problem called waterless situation. So the first category was waterless bathing, and that was a category created where people can take bath without water in a personal care category. So it was super important for us to be differentiated in this category itself, because the whole idea was, 2 points I want to make. One is product versus outcome. So generally, the realization was very simple, that when you look at a long-term journey and you want to make money in this business, it is super important to have a higher repeat rates. And if you are at lower AOV product, so what we realize is we can have a great branding skills, marketing, but we can bring, best of the best marketing agency on table. But if the product is not good, everything will fall flat. So the first thing was super important. We took that initiative. We spent first 3 years into research and development where revenue was 0. That was one. Secondly, since it was waterless bathing was the first category, the realization was the lot of kids were buying for their grandparents, right? So it was very simple that decision making was happening at a, I think Gen Z millennials type only. And when we spoke to those, of course we were addressing that category for hospital, defense use cases as well. But when you look at largely a derma-led personal care space, since we are in the personal care space, we realize people who are above 40, they need more validation. They will ask you more questions, right? However, if you are like 35 below, so the questions were not that. They were largely focused कि अच्छा तुमने बोला यार ये 4 चीजें काम करेंगी, उसने खरीद लिया. अब loyalty नहीं आती क्योंकि product अगर काम नहीं करता है. So therefore we worked in first 3 years only on the outcome, and we were trying to we have done of course a lot of beta versions, how to measure whatever the claim you have done, for the consumer while selling it. अगर मैंने बोला अगर 5,000 की बजाय आपके 6,000 बाल हो जाएंगे, so if I am not able to prove, right, so then he is not my customer. He will move to another brand who will have a better communication than me. So therefore, I think largely the learning is decision making was happening, though at a age of course below 30 where they were largely decision maker, but the product played a very important role for all of the cases.
I would clearly agree with him. This is the same case that it happened with our brand. Obviously, we didn't do it for 3 years, we did it for 6 months, where we actually had a pilot run and we started giving production. And with the millennials, like when someone is entering into age of 18 or 17, that is the right time for our brand to have that customer to pop in. So for us, it matters a lot, right? Having a right product for the right people and having a customer experience. Like in our case in electronics, the customer experience is way beyond. Like if a consumer is not having a good experience, they won't come back again. The customer repeat ratio depends a lot on the product. So that it happened with our case as well.
I did have a lot of questions planned for today, but in the interest of time, I will have to close this session. But I will take one question from the audience. Is there any question for any of the speakers on stage? Anybody? That's okay. Then we'll close it, sir, because we have the next panel waiting for us. Thank you so much for taking out time.